Hello, I'm your host, John Cavendish, and welcome to Season 4 of the Amazon Strategy Show, the show that's all strategy with no hacks, no silver bullets, and no magic pills, just real practical strategies to grow your Amazon business. Today, I am joined by none other than Tom Baker from Fordebaker. Tom is the CEO and founder of the company, and he was inspired to create Fordebaker after launching a toy brand into Amazon in 2016, successfully expanding across the UK, Europe, and US. Today, Tom leads the client strategy and business development for their multi-marketplace service on Amazon, TikTok, Shop, and Walmart. We're not furiously typing away. Tom can be found managing his own in-house team of toddlers or getting respite on his bike. Tom, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
Nice. So, I think that majority of our listeners are Amazon-centric. So what sticks out to me immediately is the different other marketplaces. So TikTok, Shop, Walmart. Can you speak a little bit about TikTok Shop and Walmart and the differences and what you've seen?
Yeah, so about 18 months ago, we took the decision to expand our services out from Amazon only. Obviously, Amazon is still like the absolute core of what we do. But obviously, we were recognizing that there's a lot of pressure on Amazon sellers with FBA costs going up, your CPCs are always going up, there's more competition. You need to most businesses obviously need to diversify. You can't wholly rely on Amazon. I'm sure there's plenty of businesses that just rely on Amazon and doing fine, but there's plenty of businesses that need to think outside of that. We wanted to remain focused on marketplaces, not to try to step into like Meta or Google Ads or anything to do with website marketing essentially, but essentially take our best practices, principles, and apply those into other marketplaces. But in particular, the marketplaces where we could have the greatest impact for our clients. There's obviously a huge amount of marketplaces out there in the world, but as an agency, there's relatively limited things we can do with the smaller marketplaces. And we're not a SaaS business. We're not a tech solution, so there's no kind of automation or scale that we provide for that kind of long tail. So it's really just focusing on where we can have the greatest impact, which inevitably that means there's not actually that many others outside of Amazon. But Walmart was obviously around and starting to kind of make inroads and progress. And then TikTok Shop, obviously it's exploded and everyone's talking about it now. But when we were kind of looking at it 18 months, 2 years ago, obviously it was obviously much earlier on and wasn't kind of proving itself. But obviously we found that they were seriously committed to it. They were on the right track with it. And we were like, this is a bet. We want to make a bet on this essentially. What we found is obviously Walmart is extremely similar to Amazon in everything that we do, how we operate with it. Very kind of like for like. It's obviously smaller and therefore there's less opportunity, but it's still a very, very large opportunity. But as I say, like most businesses that, if they know what they're doing with Amazon, they can do exactly the same thing with Walmart. As long as there's demand for that, those products, the price point obviously being the kind of critical thing with Walmart really. TikTok is a completely different thing. So although we call it, it is a marketplace, it's a third-party platform where you trade your product, people can buy the product on that platform, and it's the seller that is managing the sales of those products. So it kind of qualifies for us as a marketplace. What it's actually doing is completely different. How you drive the sales is completely different. So it's very much about product discovery, and that is mostly done through creator marketing, and then there's advertising and TikTok lives alongside that. So we find that TikTok Shop is a great complement to an already strong Amazon presence. One of the really interesting things that we've seen in the last 12 months is businesses coming to us and saying, new businesses saying, should we launch on Amazon or should we launch on TikTok Shop first? Like obviously there was no consideration. It was always, you have to be on Amazon first. But because of that product discovery aspect of it, new businesses are going, well, we should create the demand. And yes, there is a point of sale on TikTok Shop. Let's focus on that. And then other things can come after it. So yeah, particularly within health, nutrition, grocery, there's much more kind of interest in TikTok first. And that's kind of a big difference that we're seeing.
Awesome, cool. And I guess, as you said, it's product discovery. So what do you do with clients on TikTok differently from what you do with clients on Amazon?
Yeah, so TikTok Shop, it's a blend of sales plus awareness. Now, we don't try to perfect the idea of like what effect this has on awareness and what effect this has on sales. It's just stepping into it, knowing that that is true. Quantifying that is almost impossible, but we know that that's true. You get awareness and you get sales. So the main activity really is creator marketing. On average, 70% of sales will come through creators. So that is influencers, creators, we'll call them affiliates as well, who are promoting product through their shoppable video. So we're getting that product in front of the relevant audience, and that is sort of intermediated by those creators. So it's pushing that. It's the important thing is we're pushing the product in front of people, whereas obviously Amazon and Walmart they're search engines, and essentially you're waiting to capture demand, but you're not necessarily creating that demand on the platform. So the creator marketing is really the key aspect of it. Obviously, the live shopping, can do a lot of that as well. It's not for every business out there. If you've got 2 products, they're not particularly visual products, whatever, then not necessarily the right thing to think of. But if you're, a very visual product, or even if you're a retailer, we're seeing lots and lots of retailers going onto TikTok Shop. That's a really interesting space because they've got a huge range of products, and they've got their own TV shopping channel now on TikTok. So that's kind of where we see the importance of TikTok is that product awareness. As I say, like most of it's creator marketing, but the lives I definitely think will be an increasing part of the mix.
Cool. So, because I'm a newbie to TikTok, and a lot of our listeners probably will be, how do you get your product into the hands of creators in order for them to do creator marketing?
Yeah, so we have a dedicated creator marketing team. Now, so most creators will work on an affiliate commission on TikTok. And so obviously they're incentivized to drive the sales. That's been the secret really of the success of TikTok Shop, is the incentivization of creators to drive sales. Increasingly, there's more sort of flat fee upfront payments to creators, just because there's so many brands coming onto the platform, and like they've got to like persuade creators to start working with them. So there is a kind of cold start problem in that regard. So like payment upfront is becoming an increasingly big part of it. And obviously we've got a network of creators that we can tap into, but there's also like constant outreach to bring new creators into our network as well. And obviously we do that individually for each client that we work with, depending on kind of target audience and all that kind of thing. But essentially it is a manual process of identifying the right creators based on who our target audience is, and then manual outreach to those creators. That can all be done through the TikTok Creator Marketplace. So there's a kind of chat function there, and we can kind of do the outreach from there. We can also do something called an open collaboration, in which essentially we set a commission rate for a particular product, and essentially invite creators to come forward and say, yes, I want to promote that product as well. So that kind of ticks along in the background alongside that sort of proactive outreach to creators.
Okay, makes sense. What's the success like on that?
So it is a very manual job. There's definitely sort of like element of brute force to it. So obviously the more creators you reach out to, the more you kind of get activated into whatever your campaign that you're running. That's where the benefit of having a sort of ready-made network can come in, because obviously worked with them previously, we know what they're like. We know what their interests are. We know what products they're good at promoting. And obviously, we can sort of shortcut that process. But when it's new outreach, yes, that takes time. There's a lot of work that goes into that. It's it's a pretty intensive job, but obviously that's the nature of what it is. For the brands themselves, say like most creators are working on commission, so it's not like there's an upfront media cost as such. It's the time and the effort that goes into like building up that creator network. That's the critical thing.
Okay, good. No, thank you for indulging my interest, hopefully our interest in TikTok. So back onto Amazon. Before we started this podcast, you were talking about lifetime value, and like lifetime value being a new metric that most brands don't track. So how are you looking at lifetime value on Amazon?
Yeah, so my back pre-Amazon, I was in various sort of e-commerce website marketing roles, and obviously like customer retention and lifetime value, fairly well understood sort of principles, and lots of kind of tools to be able to increase the recurring revenue of customers.